Welcome to My Big Story with Christopher Swan, the weekly show where I talk with amazing people about their story. A story that includes creating a life that they love, living a life of intention, and where we can learn from their stories. On the show this week are the founders of Hip Chick Farms, Serafina Palandech and Jen Johnson. Hip Chick Farms makes organic, transparently sourced, chef-inspired frozen chicken and poultry products that are loved by kids. Additionally, there are no preservatives, hormones, antibiotics, or fillers in their products. Also, they care about the animals. This is more than just a product. It's a different way of doing business. This family company had humble beginnings just a few years ago, while facing huge challenges just 2 years in that would make most people quit the business. Now they're doing great, expanding business in new ways and in new regions, and literally impacting an entire industry. Serafina and Jen invited me to their farm in Sebastopol, California, located in the Sonoma wine country. It was a perfect setting to truly see how animals are part of their everyday life. And just wait until you hear the variety of animals that they have at their home. In our conversation, we discuss why this couple created a chicken company, the challenges and what got them through them, how their local community played a large role in learning the business, the evolving purpose of their company, discrimination and visibility, and loads more. Both Jen and Serafina are smart and driven, and they're also full of charm, and this easily comes through in our interview. We laugh a lot, and it just flows. I had so much fun getting to know them, and I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. Everyone, meet Jen and Serafina. Serafina and Jen, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Good. I'm so glad that you're here, or that I'm here.
Welcome to the farm.
The Ramblin' Rose.
I'm so glad that you mentioned it, because I'm going to make you guys describe where we're sitting at today on the farm. Because when I looked it up, I was like, there's like a lot of animals over on that farm.
We have our own little sanctuary, and everyone's rescued. And hopefully the donkeys will start braying so you can hear in the background.
Yeah,
but
so we have horses and donkeys.
Pigs.
Two pigs.
Yeah.
Goats, chickens, turkeys.
Baby turkeys.
Dogs and cats, and a couple of fish.
Yeah.
That about does it.
Oh, and horses.
Yes, horses.
Yes, 3 of the biggest horses you'll ever see.
So I wanted to bring that up because I wanted to set the stage and kind of the visualization for people. So I just want to jump straight into the why launch a food business? Why not like a restaurant or some other sort of food business? Because Serafina, if you guys are jumping into this business and not really knowing anything about the back end, I mean, that's super overwhelming. I mean, maybe that's exciting, and maybe that's the adrenaline piece that might be thrilling. But why not to a restaurant that I know you have the background, Jen, versus something else?
I'm too selfish with my time. To be honest, I've haven't really wanted to spend that much time in one place, especially with a daughter, the farm, my wife, and I think having a restaurant, you have to commit quite a huge part of your life to that. Even though it's super exciting, and there's another part of that we'll talk about a little later.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's never been an overwhelming desire for me to do that.
And I mean, I think that, in retrospect, people have asked me before, like, if you knew what you knew now, if you knew how much blood, sweat, and tears would go into this, would you do it again? And I always say yes. But I am definitely like an eternal optimist. And I have an incredible amount of energy. So if I don't know how to do something, I just kind of jump in and figure it out. And I literally would cold call other companies and ask them for help. And I will say that this is a very kind and generous industry.
Yeah, I was going to say that we've met some incredible people in this industry. And I don't know if you meet the same people owning your own little private restaurant, I mean, your guests, of course, customers, but we've met some really dynamic people in the organic and all natural grocery world.
Yeah, and we had a 6-month-old when we started.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it takes so much time,
that's
right, to be at a restaurant.
That's a whole other job.
Yeah, that's just, having a restaurant would be just too time
I mean, the
consuming.
office
We'd never see her
started
again.
right over there in the corner in the living room. Right over there. That's what the office was for about 6 months to a year.
Yeah, I think we all probably start like that,
Absolutely.
taken away.
Yeah.
So was it, as you started to dig into this and realize like, you wanted to start this business and you're going to learn all these aspects of it. Was it really just around, hey, I want to take my recipes to market and share it with other people? Or was there something about going into this food industry business a little bit different, energizing it differently? Because there's a different story behind what you're bringing to market. It's not just a chicken nugget. Like you said earlier, like people are always a little bit wondering what's in that product. So are you energizing it differently or had that idea?
I think we're bringing more awareness to for people to pay attention to what's in their food. And I think how I make my nugget and how the other massively produced nuggets that maybe don't have as much of a moral compass, it's significantly different. And it goes all the way back to the farm to the chicken. So I think we're bringing awareness as to what's exactly in there.
I think that we started as such our starting place for starting the business was so progressive, so far left of center from anything big food does. Like our starting place was so far off from what most folks are doing. We were such outsiders that we didn't know any different.
Oh, I see.
And I think that being an outsider has been this incredible gift, right?
Kind of like naivete.
Yeah,
of sorts.
we went into it just determined to like, this is what we believe. This is what we're doing. It's all going to be great.
This is what I do well. This is what you do well. So
we're very ethically driven, right? So we just that was our starting place, and it was only as we got more and more and more into it that we're like, oh, like this is the example I always use. We were on a phone call with a very large grocery store, nationally. This giant grocery store, and they had asked us for our help in they were trying to determine for themselves where they stood on their humane standards, right? And they called us. Like, this was like 2 years ago, right? When we were in like 1,000 stores or something. And they're like, how do you guys, we need some help figuring out what our humane standards are. So we're having this conversation about it, and they asked us a question. Their committee asked us a question. They're like, how do you prevent the bird? What did they say? Something like, what's
wrong without a bird without a beak?
No. They said, what's your pain what do you use as pain management for removing the bird's beaks? And I paused and I thought this over in terms of not like, to me, it gave me a real good perspective on the different of a starting place.
Yeah.
We would never consider that's so outside of my realm of thinking in terms of what kind of a bird we would use, right? And so it just flipped the whole perspective where I was like, oh my God, I am so far outside of our thinkings are so different. Like that's actually going to be an asset for us. It's going to be a challenge because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But it's also going to be an asset because we're real. We're really doing what we really believe, and that resonates with people. And when other companies when these big food companies try and replicate that, it comes across as false.
Because it's not coming from their core, right? Not
No,
coming
it's
from
coming
what
from
they
marketing.
believe.
It's coming from the
They
marketing
don't give a
department.
shit. They just want to make money.
Was it your intent to go into this to change like the landscape or the environment, or was it really about we want to do something that's important to us and we're going to do it our way? And now that you're in it, you are changing the landscape?
I think initially, yes. Totally.
Yeah.
I think I was just telling you earlier today, we were just interviewing a guy for a job at work for Hip Chicks. And we were just saying how it started one way and exactly what you said. And then it's kind of turned into this kind of platform for feeling really strongly and convicted about humanely raised animals and
sustainable agriculture in the US.
Clean products. Yeah.
I had no idea, right? So as we grow in the industry and get more and more engaged with the conversations happening, the more compelled I am to. So, okay, let me just back up. First of all, from day one, Jen and I wanted this to make us a ton of money. Okay?
No shame.
None. No, and I don't think there should be any. I don't think that those two things should be.
I just love that you said it, because nobody does.
Because people act like if you want to do good, you don't get to make money. Right?
Yeah. We disagree.
And that's I was in the nonprofit world. And that is the reason we lose people. You can't sustain a sustainable workforce in nonprofit. It's because they don't pay people the money that it needs to take to retain. Same thing with our teachers, right?
Yep.
Okay. Get off my soapbox there for a second. So just point being, like, we knew we wanted to grow very quickly because our end goal is to be acquired. Now, that could appear as though we want to sell out. That's not what we want to do. I think
we continue working.
I think that the whole landscape is changing very rapidly, and that that what we're doing is almost unreplicable, so that we will be acquired at some point by a larger company who does want to learn from us of how to do what we're doing. So that's one goal. But as I get more and more into it, the more I'm like absolutely passionate about sustainable agriculture and creating more farmers. And what are we going to do about not having any farmers in this country? Like, how are we going to engage folks in rural communities? How are we going to sustain their mental health? How are we going to support them economically? Like, it's complicated and it's so exciting to me. So it started as this chicken nugget thing, and it's turned into this whole other thing for me about being a voice of transparency to our LGBT community, engaging with the agricultural community, and even that overlap is fascinating. The LGBT and agriculture overlap, like, that's fascinating.
This actually,
Sorry.
it's a
I'm going down my. I get so excited about this stuff,
which I love, because that's actually a perfect transition. Because I had this question for you, Serafina. Because Jen, it makes sense to me when I looked up everything and understood your story about, cooking to now your product is about food. So that made sense to me. And then I went to Serafina and I looked at her background and I was like, oh, she's in events. Okay. And I wondered what this was about. Was this like, at first I thought, oh, maybe this is Jen's dream to do these things. Serafina's like, I want to be part of that. And I hear this story about this excitement and this learning that you're doing. I'd love for you to tell me a little bit more about how you went, though, from this background of events, fundraising, and this stuff into this role of entrepreneur, or full 100% entrepreneur.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's somewhat accidental.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't realize what an entrepreneur I was until we started this. And there was almost something about it not being my jam that made it more compelling for me. It like removed the fear, right? So if I'm too closely aligned with it, it's almost like I'm so scared of failure. It's more difficult to be successful. And in this one, I'm not afraid at all. So, I've always been very driven by volunteer work. I've always been very driven to make it better for other folks. That's what my entire career was about like engaging communities and raising money for people in need. I stopped when I got pregnant. I stopped working, and then I was just like a lunatic, adopting animals, putting on parties, like the craziest birthday parties
like
for a 1-year-old.
Full circle now. I get the animals outside. Now I get it.
Yeah, so
we needed to get her working again.
Yeah,
That's what we needed to do.
I'm somebody that has to work. So we thought let's do this thing, and then it turns out that, well, first of all, I'm very driven. So the sales actually really engages me. I like it. I like I like going after things. And then I used all those tools I learned at AIDS Walk of like, you don't have any resources, very limited resources to do a lot. So everybody does everything. And then you ask the community for help.
Yeah. And so that goes back to the whole restaurant thing. So I don't think we would really be experiencing this kind of energy and synergy with other people in the industry if I had my own little
just because
thing. I don't know.
You wouldn't be connecting that way.
It kind of puts me out there too, because I was in a private home and I love being.
Oh, I've been dragging her kicking and screaming into the spotlight.
Screaming. I don't really like it that much. I'm getting more used to it. I'm just not as comfortable in the forefront like my glamazon wife over here.
That's interesting
She's prettier
too.
than me.
It's hard to even know sitting here with just the three of us, because I would think like, oh, you're easily an extrovert. But
No.
But it's because we're in a small setting at your home, and so it's easy probably.
And Bourbon is my a close friend of mine, and Bourbon usually helps me.
She's incredibly charming and hilarious, and one of the hardest workers I've ever met in my entire life. She's brilliant.
I'm used to being behind the scenes.
But she likes to be behind the scenes.
Yeah. But she's been pushing me. I still love you.
Has that been a good partnership though?
If you really want to know the truth, this is one of the best, most incredible relationships I've had in my entire life. And I couldn't be luckier. I couldn't imagine a better match for me. Professionally, personally, everything.
Thank you.
You're supposed to say ditto.
Ditto.
I'll just fill that right in there.
I know, that was a kind of an awkward pause.
No, it was sweet.
Well, what's interesting too is because when it's audio like this, and who's ever listening can't see that we're actually making eyes, and we're like, oh, that's sweet or whatever, but we're actually like, it was like a nice moment.
She was looking away. Just kidding.
Well, let's go back a little bit and talk about the business, because it definitely was an overnight success. And what I think is interesting, I just sent something out on our weekly newsletter about this, where overnight success is what people see, because they've never heard of us when we're struggling. They only hear the good stuff, like, ta-da, look at this amazing thing that we're doing. But actually, it's been years of this struggle. And there has been struggle for you guys. You started, I think it was 2013 or so?
We started selling and producing in 2013. Yeah.
There's been epic setbacks.
Yeah.
Epic things that we didn't even see coming, and how we got through it, a miracle.
I read some of that too. Like 2015 was like a really tough year. Mm-hmm. And then 2016 was like the year that you guys were always hoping for, I guess, more or less. I don't want to dive into every detail, but I would love to know a little bit more about what's the real truth about when you start a business and you don't know what you're doing, you're gung-ho, you guys are really invested in this, but then what happens in 2015 that sets you back so much?
Well, I would say the two major challenges we had that year, I would say we've had challenges every single year, and we consistently have challenges, but that year was brutal. We were completely cash strapped. We were very, very challenged with access to capital, and we had some bad deals happen. Anyway, we didn't have any money. We didn't have any way of. We were constantly just about to, every day it was like, okay, do we sell the house today? Or do we wait till tomorrow? And it was waking up in the middle of the night. Like, I literally would wake up at 3 a.m. every morning, just like sick to my stomach, wanting it's this crazy. Here's the crazy thing about entrepreneurship. I have a clarity of vision that I've nothing. I mean, okay, I had the clarity of vision that I knew I was supposed to marry Jen. I've had clarity of vision that I knew we were supposed to buy this house. And I have clarity of vision that I know this business is going to succeed, regardless of what anybody has ever said to me. Like, I have zero doubts. I have no idea where that comes from. It's so bizarre to me. But I mean, I do have doubts. I mean, I don't have doubts. I have fears. And so that year was just like one thing after another. Like, we, a bunch of product was misproduced, so we lost a lot of product. We didn't have enough money to meet our orders. We were short-filling customers. We had to change co-packers, one thing after another. So we were just constantly cash-strapped. We thought we were doing a deal with some investors that didn't come through. So, so it was literally this like, okay, are we going to sell the house? Or are we going to close the business? How do we pay people back? What are we going to do?
Or take this kind of not great deal.
Yeah.
We parked in front of a bar and made a decision because we knew after the decision we were going to go in and have a drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it ended up being a decision that changed the course of Hip Chick Farms that day.
So that was really challenging, was access to capital. And then the second was Jen's health. She had just one horrible thing after another happened. Thank God she's healthy today.
Knock on wood.
Yeah, but she had some pretty scary things happen. Do you want to talk about it?
I was diagnosed with, it started with a uterine kind of major surgery. I don't know where that came about, and then it ended up being a thyroid cancer. And
those two things are not linked.
And they're not linked.
You're just lucky like that?
Yeah. And then they're like, okay, well, let's see. And then there was a secondary cancer,
Wow.
an autoimmune.
It's very rare.
An autoimmune disease. It's one of the rarest. And they're like, well, let's get a PET scan, a scan that goes over your entire body for cancer. It's so interesting when they check for cancer. Oh, you hear the donkey?
I do.
There he is. There she is. Anyway, they give you glucose. They give you glucose before this PET scan because the cancer, the sugar finds the cancer spots in the body. Scary.
Really?
Yeah. So anyway, they're like, oh, okay, well, let's do a PET scan and see if we can see the secondary cancer. The thyroid cancer was gone. See if this, anyway. And they're like, oh, everything's fine, but we found a brain tumor. And we're like, oh. So it's
I just love you're like, like you know, that thing.
No, but I mean, it was like,
I call it Toomey.
it was just all in 1 year. It's one thing after another.
Anyway, I'm fine. It's benign.
Yeah.
But we check it every 6 months.
But it was all of this not knowing, right? It was the year of not knowing.
What kept you going through all of that?
I feel like in retrospect, we had both of those overlapping events brought us to a place of like, the only thing that's important is that we're all together. Mm-hmm. And we know what we believe in and we're going to keep doing it. But it's okay if it doesn't work, you know? And we just came to a point of being like, we're going to just do the best we can. And, you know,
kind of surrender in a way.
We kind of surrendered.
And faith,
the whole thing.
Faith came into play.
Yeah.
I think you get on your knees every once in a while. And I think our faith was definitely tested. But I think we grew together stronger.
And just like, you know, prioritizing wellness, well-being above all else. I mean, I think that it's very easy to get consumed with a new business. Mm-hmm. You know, it's all you think about. It's just all I think about. Think about it. And always trying to do more. And that's not, with Jen being sick, I needed to be present for her.
Was that almost this wake-up call for that?
Yeah.
For that kind of mindfulness?
I do have a daily practice of mindfulness. I meditate every morning. I've been doing that for like the last 4 years. And that helps me a tremendous amount. Mm-hmm. But I had to temper my drive. Right, I had this incredible drive. Her.
Yeah,
and it
might have been a good thing.
I think it is because I think that like you make better decisions when you're not so hyperactive anyway, right? I think you make better decisions about the business and taking
you let
advice.
go a little bit. You let go a little bit.
I did.
Yeah, and the help, the Calvary that came and saved us was, like I said, it was a game changer. It was literally that day we parked in front of a bar in the Castro. Because I just had had my PET scan.
Yeah, we were in the cancer ward at UCSF,
and we had this call at 4:30 with these guys that were going to give us an offer. Big guys, biggest guys in the industry, and they're like, "Okay, here's the offer." And the guy came in also saying, "By the way, girls, you will never forget this day for the rest of your life." And we're like, "Whoa." Yeah. And I'm like, you have no idea where I just was.
For many reasons you won't forget.
Yeah. So it was
so then the year ended with, we got the results of the PET scan where you're cancer free. So that was a huge relief.
Thank you.
And then we got the funding literally on the same day.
It was bizarre.
Then what brought into 2016 how it changed? Was it just this one element of funding, or was that the thing that sparked like progress and moving forward?
Yeah. So we built out our board of directors.
Okay.
We brought on some really great staff members. We got additional distribution. We had, made progress in our packaging design and our production techniques.
Did that all start from because now you had the funding in place to actually be able to move forward to do these things? Like, because it was just the cash trap?
And
No, I mean, I think we've been working on a lot of those things simultaneously.
But these people also brought with them very talented people that helped us.
Yeah,
you had a team now.
Yes, absolutely. But the reason we generated the interest from those people is because of how hard we had worked
Absolutely.
up to that time,
Yeah.
right? We'd already been named. Food and Wine magazine named us most innovative women in food and wine, right after Jessica Alba, actually.
Really? Is that where you guys placed?
We're fourth on
She
the
was
list,
third.
and she was third. I'll take that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we were already getting a lot of recognition, and these guys were already following us. But they brought with us a great team. They brought with them a great team.
So this just says stick in there. Stick in there, because we were about to give up. And had we wouldn't have found these people.
And then that March, we met Advantage Capital. We met the next. So those guys were just two individuals. And then that March, we met our lead investors. And to date, they've invested $3.5 million into our business. Our revenue, this year, our revenue will be 5 times what it was last year.
Wow.
So we had 3 employees last year at this time. Now, today we have 12. We're in about 3,500 stores, around 3,500 stores today. We're launching into Walmart's nationwide with a bunch of products.
Wow, that's a big deal.
It is, for a number of reasons that I want to come back to.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
We're doubling our distribution into Kroger. We're adding, we have 7 products. Now we're introducing 14 products in the next month.
She's been keeping me very busy.
Jen developed 1 million new products. So yeah, all of these things are game changers. We started selling on QVC.
I actually noticed that, yeah, which I thought
Nuts.
That's actually what I thought was a little nuts. I was like, I wouldn't have thought that was the place you would go.
But here's the thing about QVC and Walmart, going back to the mission, like, I want every kid, I want everybody to have access to organic poultry and meat. It shouldn't just be the 1%. It shouldn't just be the folks shopping at Whole Foods.
Yeah.
It should be every single person. So we're kind of trying to backwards engineer it, right? We're kind of backing into it in this way, where we're creating all this demand, which I'm hoping is going to help facilitate additional demand all the way back, right? So back, to create more farmers.
This is what sounds interesting to me, is the way that you positioned that. You positioned it with that everybody should have access to this kind of product, to organic, because that is different than somebody initially starting who says, I just want to make a lot of money and we're going to do great. Like selling to the Walmart, the first thing is light bulb and a cash register, because that's a ton of real estate that you're getting now. But I think to your point, Jen, when you talked about, like, you get into something and then you start to see the bigger aha message for you, the change that you can affect. It is about, of course, making a living and having a great life. But it also sounds like you guys really now are living and breathing that, like, oh, look what we could do. Like, we can make good change in a unique way. Have you looked at it that way before?
I mean, I think it's, it changes all the time.
Yeah.
It does. It's like constant evolution. So I will say, very honestly, I was a Walmart snob not very long ago, and so now I can look back on my own privilege and say, what was that about? What is that about? Right? And that perhaps to me, that goes back to the idea of being other or being separate from the crowds, right? And I think that's harmful. In a way, it's a kind of a reverse privilege almost.
And I feel really strongly the more people that will buy, hopefully, our products or try them all over the nation, then organic will be more accessible to people. It's funny, I've worked in 2 of the snobbiest environments in the entire world, and I am so not a snob. I mean, I really want everyone to have this product, and I don't want it to be this super expensive thing. It's not expensive, but it's competitively, priced, because we're using really good chickens and really good products. But I want it to all come down, It's got to all come down. It can't just be on the coasts, this coast and that coast. I need it to be in the middle.
And then there's also the idea of being super transparent as lesbians, and being really open and transparent about that.
I feel like
not
the
that
more
it's like it's lesbian chicken, because it's not lesbian chicken.
I feel like the more
what's lesbian chicken?
I feel like the more transparent we are, the more people could give a shit. Honestly,
really,
absolutely. I feel like the more real we are, and the more we get out there, the more people meet us, and we're on TV and this show and that show, and they're like, "Who cares? It's a great product. We don't care. Great, Chef Jed made it. Awesome, And Serafina's, it's great. I think we're breaking stigmas.
I mean, I love that they don't care. Like that's
what I hope.
Right. That can be a good thing. Have you also heard the other part about the visibility? Because that's what you guys are providing.
Yeah. That's all middle America there.
Yeah.
And so we're selling out, and they know who we are. And I
don't know if that's true or not.
Well, if you look on the back of the packaging, you probably figure it out real quick.
Yeah. I mean, we've definitely been discriminated against.
Mm-hmm.
Not hugely though. We had a TV show. We had a TV show come out. What was it? The West Texas show. And we were prepared because we'd heard a story from our other friend who was on a show. And we were prepared. We were actually kind of concerned. Zero. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No negative
bunch of
feedback.
high fives. Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah.
Have you heard any of when I talk about visibility as well, I think about the element for the people that are afraid. Maybe there are people living in communities where they can't be free or out.
Yes.
And so have you seen or heard any of that where you guys are being so visible, it actually kind of opens doors or at least brings more awareness for people?
I have a great story. Which story do you want to tell?
What story do you want to tell?
The distributor story.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I love that story.
That's not my story. That's not my story. Go ahead.
So this is a discrimination story, but it's also a visibility story. So I went to a trade show, did my thing, was following up with folks afterwards. Usually we secure new customers. So I'd been emailing back and forth with a potential new customer, and they kind of fell off. I never heard from him again. And then a few weeks later, I got an email from a woman who worked at that distributor. And she emailed me and she said, you won't be hearing any further from us because the owners of our company realize that you're lesbians. And they've decided that they don't want to sell your products because you're lesbian. And then she went on to say, I'm a lesbian. I'm in the closet here. And I feel compelled to tell you this.
Wow.
So she and I emailed back and forth. She actually ended up sending me the entire chain of communication, their internal communications. Mm-hmm. I emailed I got her okay, and I emailed with the owner, and they denied it, of course. And anyway, so that happened. But then the woman, the whistleblower, so to speak, the woman, she shared a lot with me. And she decided that she didn't want to live her life in the closet. And this isn't a progressive city. This was in Portland. And she decided that she wanted to live her life authentically, and so she resigned. And she left. Actually, she kind of got fired in that case, which was totally illegal. But she came out in the process, and then she went on to get another job where she could
be herself.
She felt comfortable, and the organization was very religious that she had been working for. Not that matters, but it was. So she felt more the need to be in a closet. So yeah, so it was very heartening that we inspired her to, you know, be honest.
Right. Be genuine.
What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, my friend Eve Felder runs the Culinary Academy through the CCA in Napa in Singapore. And each year, last 2 years, 40 or 50 students come out, and they come to Hip Chick Farms. They're on this big tour, and they come to they bring huge buses in the town. It's awesome. And
so the students from Singapore come and tour.
The culinary students come to America, and they tour all around here, and they come to Hip Chick Farms. And so Serafina and I, do our thing, and we make up food and everything. And then at the end, 4 or 5 students come out and talk about, they kind of come out to us about being gay or lesbian. And it was a real honor. And I was like, right on. So whatever it takes, man. I struggled good 20 years. So I know, been there. I know the stories and I lived the stories. So if I can help change just one person's life, then I'm doing the right thing.
And that's why I asked as well. I wondered if that, you're being as transparent as you can. And I wondered how that worked for you, how it connected. Was it just about, doing something for others or just living your life authentically, or is it about a bigger connection?
I've lived kind of such a sheltered life, sadly. But I just didn't really think about it going into this. And now that I have been in this for about 5 years, it's like, I'm in a power position here and this is exciting. I could really use this, to help other people that struggled like I did really struggled, back in the day.
It's true. And I think you hear that a lot, even from celebrities or the people that have gained this platform, social media, that they have a new way to share something different. Serafina, you had mentioned earlier just about learning from other businesses and, and pulling from them. I'd love to jump into a little bit about community. I've heard or have read multiple pieces about the both of you learning from the community in Sonoma County and other businesses. I think you cold called, Amy's and said, teach me all you know. And I just kept reading all these different pieces. And that also made me fall in love with the two of you. I was like, oh, I love them. They are my own heart.
That would not be me. That's her. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're going to show up now because she's going to force you.
Yeah,
I see how this works.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd love to know a little bit more about how did that work? Was it just this cold calling and saying, hey, I want to participate? Or how did community blossom for you? How did it grow?
Yeah. Well, we started by taking classes. So we took some how to start a business class and got a mentor and started getting introductions to other folks in the industry. And I did do a lot of cold calling. I remember I had heard that you needed to have a broker in the food business. So I literally Googled food broker and Acosta came up, which is like the largest food broker in the world. So I called them and I said, I'm starting a chicken company and I need a broker. No, having no idea how ridiculous that is. Yeah. And I ended up talking to this guy and he starts asking me questions and quickly realizes how off base I am. And he said, where are you? Where do you live? And I said, Sebastopol. He said, you know what? Go find Greg Hartman. He's going to help you. So then I called Greg Hartman and he was this angel that ended up teaching me the entire industry.
Wow.
And then, I'm a joiner. It turns out I'm totally a joiner. I sign up for every possible networking event and community event. And I just love to participate, which
I'm anti-joiner.
She's shaking her head right now. She's like, oh God, help us. There's just amazing, networking groups and food groups and all kinds of different groups here that have been really, really helpful. And I did indeed call Amy's and the receptionist answered and I said, I'm starting a food business and a frozen food business and it's not vegetarian, it's chicken. But I can't quite figure out how to make a frozen, what kind of packaging should I make? And I ended up talking to one of the vice presidents and he totally helped us.
Has it always been kind of that receptive around here? Building that community?
Oh, totally.
Anywhere.
Yeah. Really?
Anywhere.
That's what I'm saying. It's it's been so cool, being, seeing how this thing just kind of on fire.
Has that taught you something about community as well? You've had so much, maybe, I want to say assistance, but you've had so much influence or help from others in a community. Does it make you think about giving back to community different or
absolutely.
Belonging?
Well, people need to hear a story of resilience. Because the story we heard as an entrepreneur was...
Oh, you're not going to make it.
You're going to fail.
You're going to fail. Why even
Businesses
bother?
fail. They all fail.
And this was the business class that we took. And they're like, well, yeah, you're going to fail. I mean, especially lesbian women.
And
it's
the odds are against
1%.
you. The odds are against you. So, something like 10% of new businesses fail within the first 3 years. And then it goes on from there. And then in terms of fundraising, it's of all of the venture capital, or of all of the capital, only 10% goes to women. And then Start Out just came out with a report that of all of the capital out there, getting billions and billions of dollars going into new businesses and to entrepreneurs and startups, 0.5% goes.
Wow.
So
0.5% go to lesbians.
I'm playing my little violin.
Did that worry you when you heard that in a
No, that just
class
fuels
like
our
that?
fire.
Oh no, it just made me
that just fuels our fire.
You think you don't know me.
yeah?
You don't know me.
You don't know me.
No, no, Serafina Palandech.
You don't know. Well, you too. You're the same way.
I'm a little feisty. Yeah, you don't say no to me for sure. I'll be like, oh, no, you didn't.
What advice would you guys give to somebody starting out like this who maybe isn't fueled by that? That isn't fueled by the, oh, you're going to fail? Because I can see how that's rough. If somebody hears that enough and you don't have a mentor, you don't have a community yet.
I don't know.
Like, is it go find a community? Is it, what is it that when somebody's starting out, what would you tell them?
It's a really good question.
It is a good question. I don't know if I could do it without this one. Honestly, I don't have that same chutzpah that she does.
I mean, I always say, like, don't take no for an answer. Always say yes. Reach out to your community. Join whatever organizations you can, because there are resources out there, and they're much more broad-reaching than I thought. So the
Just
USCA,
come see us and we'll help you.
Yeah.
Come see us. I'll help you.
But there is a lot of resources out there. You just have to do some digging sometimes.
And come see us for real. Yeah.
I've included the address.
Yeah, I know, right? They're going to be outside. I'm ready for my chicken fingers.
There's the Google.
Oh, I heated up some product for you and I forgot to take it out of the oven.
That's
I
right.
mean, it's not burning. It's just warm.
Starting a business as a couple. I mean, that can be rough territory. And it can be awesome territory as well. It just depends sometimes on the blend or what you want. I'm curious for you, what's the difference between your expectations versus the reality of doing this together?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Jen was working full time at another job for a very long time. So there was a lot of separation between church and state for us. So it's been more recent that we've been working together every day. And there is, I think that we make decisions very well together.
I don't ever want to be the boss. But
I actually think that's our challenge right there, is that we're both bosses. Like Jen's the boss in her kitchen and I'm the boss in the office.
But the two don't really, there isn't a lot of overlap. My only thing, to be totally honest, is her pushing me in areas that I don't want to go. And I know I have to for the company, and I get a little resentful about that. Being so out there is really hard for me. But I mean, this is what we signed up for. And so I got to suck it up, buttercup.
One of the things I didn't expect is that I get to see, how there's like your home you and your work you, and you have different personalities, right? And you feel different ways in different environments. Like I get to see Jen in her work her, and that's freaking awesome. Like it's exciting. Right? Because it's different than her home her. So I enjoyed that piece. I didn't even think about that. I didn't think it would be different.
I completely resonated with that. I thought, nobody really, like my partner doesn't really know what it's like when I'm doing my thing.
Yeah.
He just knows when I talk about it when I get home or
Because you're home you're like, God, why didn't you pick up those socks? Why didn't you pick up those socks?
Why didn't you do that dish?
Why didn't,
That's directed to you, Jen, just so you know.
Those
I know.
darn socks,
It's my socks,
right? And it's like,
and then hot.
And then you go to work and you see her come up with something completely genius. And I'm like, who cares about those stupid socks?
My saving grace.
Right?
Was there anything that you would suggest even to watch out for? As in doing this together?
Ego.
And I think communication, the way you talk to each other,
exactly,
I'm really sensitive to that. And so we've had to do some. Serafina can get super hyper focused in work mode, so she'll just talk to me like everybody else, and I'm like, whoa, And so my feelings would get hurt or whatever. And I'm also really sensitive, and she's not quite as sensitive in that way. So she's had to like
temper it.
Let's talk about what's next. We just mentioned this a little bit beforehand before we started. So it's 2017. You guys are on a roll. You have some things coming out soon. What's next for Hip Chick Farms?
Well, I just signed a lease on a little restaurant in town. in Sebastopol on Main Street, and it's going to be Hip Chick Farms, Chef Jen's Kitchen. And we're going to be the first chicken nugget tasting room.
The world's
in
first
the nation.
Chicken nugget tasting room. You can take a flight of chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
I freaking love that. And also earlier, I think, Serafina, I think it was you that said it when we were on the phone, or you were on the phone earlier, and you said flight of chicken nuggets. I was like...
I know, that's hilarious.
I was like...
Don't worry, I'm getting a beer and wine license. Don't worry.
I was like, this so Sonoma County. So
yeah.
I love that. And I love that you're doing something on Main Street. It
Me
needs
too.
a little something. It's so cute.
Our office is literally 3 doors down. So I get my kitchen. I needed my kitchen. I need to have my little kitchen. So I just said that 3 times. Anyway, so we're super excited about it. So I think around July 1st, we're going to be opening a soft opening. And
yeah, so it's an R&D kitchen, innovation.
it's mostly
new
an
product
R&D
development.
kitchen, which is research and development for products.
Right.
And then we're going to have a little lunch counter. Everything's disposable. You know, no service, like open from 11 to 2. Do a chicken sandwich, of course, and some yummy organic drink of some sort.
Yeah, we have another secret plot, not so secret, to become...
Take over the world.
That's
take
what
over
I was
the
thinking.
world, but take... not to speak badly about anybody, because I don't like to do that.
But
Perhaps replace Chick-fil-A.
oh yeah, so I'm gonna make my own rolls and kind of do a play on things here and there.
So, we want to continuing with this like expansion efforts. We want to keep innovating the category.
Well, I'm going to ask one last question, and then we'll wrap up. But I remembered now, I think I watched your Hip Chick Farms video, kind of your promo video. And I think, Jen, you say in it, live in the dream. And it caught my attention for a moment because I wondered what that meant for you. Like, what does live in the dream mean?
Well, I look over there and I get to work and live and be with my wife and my daughter. I get to live in paradise. We get to own our own company. We get to support the community, give people jobs, give them great benefits, expose people to really clean, great food that I'm like blessed enough to create. It's just good. It's living the dream. Our families are super supportive. There's just no complaining here.
That's all good answers.
Yeah, it's all good.
Do you have a different definition, Serafina?
And that's a ditto.
That's a ditto.
Yeah. It's one of the things we that just really resonates for us for some reason is, we have all these animals and we have full agendas every day, but we have to take care of all of our animals. And so, morning and night, we're out there shoveling shit.
It grounds you. It grounds you.
Okay, so I'll say it in a nicer way. Morning and night, we're out there picking up poop, scooping manure. And it's almost like
getting nudges from everybody. A nose here and a wet nose there and it's just, it really does. To me, such great therapy.
It's very grounding. It's very like, this is it.
We've created our own therapy right here.
Yeah.
This
is it. It's just being connected to the people and the earth and just all of it. It's just, it's perfection.
It's a lot of work, but that's a really good reminder. It really connects us, keeps us centered.
It's wonderful. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah, it is. And so go rescue an animal.
Stay off Craigslist, Serafina.
And eat chicken. Eat Hip Chick chicken.
I appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me over and having this conversation and just diving into your world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Really great host.
Oh, no, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's it for the episode. But hold on. Before you hit that stop button, here's a few more things you may not know about. Did you know I share other amazing stories, ideas, and creative spotlights each week? It's all to spark your imagination and power creativity. Just go to awesomefinds.info. That's AWESOMEFINDS.info to find out more and sign up. And it's, of course, all free. If you want original weekly articles that help you follow your passion, find your purpose, or to learn from other amazing people, check out the articles at accidentalinformation.com. If you want to share your feedback about this episode or the show, send us an email at info@accidentalinformation.com or call us at 1-707-347-9312. You can follow along with me and see behind the scenes of the show and my adventures. So come find me on Instagram and Twitter at @MeChristopher. That's MECHRISTOPHER. You can also follow along with Accidental Information on Instagram and Facebook at Accidental Information or on Twitter at Accidental Info. Lastly, if you love the show and want to help me out, I'd love it if you told a friend about the show. As in literally text someone or email it to them. I cannot tell you how awesome that would be. Also, writing a review for the show wherever you listen to podcasts helps in a really big way too. Thanks to everyone listening and joining me in my story. We'll talk again next week when we hear from another big, inspiring story.